What's going on, man? Happy Monday to you guys. Welcome to a brand new edition of Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Hope you guys are settling in wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. I appreciate you guys. I am live on Facebook. I am live on Twitter, and I am live on YouTube right now. We got a lot to talk about today. It's going to be NFL dominated. NFL is the king sport in this country, so we got lots to talk about. First and foremost, Drew Brees finally retires after 20 years in the NFL. Also, what's going to happen with the quarterback position now in New Orleans? You got Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill still remaining there. Also, Aaron Jones plans, he decides that he's going to re-sign and stay in Lambeau with the Green Bay Packers. I think that's a smart move for him. And also Cam Newton, if you didn't know, he's going to come back for one more year with the New England Patriots. And also moving into the NBA, the Lakers, they are treading water. It was just announced that AD is going to miss about 2 more weeks of the season. Can they hang on? Can they stay strong in the West as they make their push towards to repeat as NBA champions? And also, March Madness is officially here now. One of the greatest sporting events in all of sports is set to kick off, I believe, this week. So lots to talk about. But other than that, sit back and relax and enjoy the show. This is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Let's go. Clutch Sports Talk Live with Ryan Flowers is presented by All-Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Welcome in, everyone. Hope you guys are doing all right. And wherever you're listening at, if you're watching live right now, make sure you guys hit the comment section. Get your comments out there. Get your questions. Get your concerns. We're gonna jump into it. I mean, there's just so much to talk about. The sports is just always giving us stuff to talk about and giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts and beliefs with you guys today. So like I said before, but before I get into the show, just some housekeeping notes. Make sure if you don't follow me on any of my social media, you do that now. Go ahead and specifically on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe now. I'm trying to make that push, man, to 100. I'm not quite there, but I need your help, man. I'm at 75. So I just need 25 more subscribers to get to 100. That'll be a big milestone for me when I started this. Also, hit me up on Twitter at clutch_talk and on Instagram at clutch.sports.talk. Hit me up wherever you guys can. I appreciate you guys. And like I said, keep those comments coming in the comment section below. And right now, also, the final thing I'm going to ask you to do is share. Like and share this stream right now. Get it out to as many people as we can so we can really get the comment section popping tonight. So without further ado, man, let's just hop straight into it. Our boy Drew Brees, man, he's finally retired. He's moving on after 20 years in the National Football League. Now, he was drafted, I believe, in the second round by the San Diego Chargers. And then obviously for most of us, we saw that gruesome injury that he had, a torn labrum that he had in his final season in San Diego. Ends up signing to the New Orleans Saints as a free agent, and the rest is history. So he finally announced via social media with his kids yesterday that he's hanging them up for good. And that's something that we kind of already knew for the most part. But what can I say about Drew Brees, man? I know it didn't end the way a lot of Saints fans or just in general fans of football kind of envisioned it for him to win. I mean, he got one Super Bowl out of the whole ordeal. But his last game as a Saint just really didn't pan out, and he's now retiring. So, but shout out to Drew Brees, man. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. For me, I mean, in all honesty, he's first ballot Hall of Famer, hands down. Hands down, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and there's no debating that. I mean, I don't even have enough time to go over all the records this man has broken. I mean, just from touchdowns to passing yards to consecutive games with touchdowns. I mean, he literally, first of all, from an outside of football standpoint, this man revitalized a city in which that had just endured one of the worst natural disasters that they've ever seen in Katrina. He comes into the city, he makes it cool again to be a Saints fan. For those who are Saints fans, long live Saints fans, that was a team you'd watch a game on TV in the Superdome, and people would have like not trash bags, but paper bags over their heads. They were like underachievers for the most part. Not a very successful franchise. I mean, they had some good years, but they never were able to actually hit reach the heights of NFL superiority. until Drew Brees came along, Sean Payton. But Drew Brees was a very standout leader in the community. I know, going into the season, he made some comments about, the flag and all that. I mean, and I don't think that should tarnish his career. I mean, he made a mistake. He said what he said. He apologized. He got more information about it, and we moved on. But this man was a tremendous football player. He just got Brady'd at the end of the day, and that's okay because a lot of quarterbacks have been Brady'd by Tom Brady. I mean, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers continues to get Brady'd by him. So, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. And if you don't think so, I don't know what planet you've been on, what football you've been watching, but Drew Brees for sure is a fine human being and a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's going to be a huge void to be filled there. Now, a lot of people are glad that a decision was finally made for him, and now that the Saints can kind of move forward because when you're in an organization like that, you've had this guy behind under center for so long, you get so accustomed to him being there that you don't even fathom the possibility of having someone else under center, like legitimately. Now, the Saints have had to deal with him being injured the last couple of years, so they've seen guys come in, Teddy Bridgewater one year, Taysom Hill filled in this year, and then they still have Jameis Winston, which I'll get to next year in the next segment. But I think it was time for him to go. I was watching a show today, and they were talking about, he was close to, he just knew when it was the right time. I would say that. That's basically what the gist that they were saying. Because if he decided to play, kind of like what Big Ben is doing right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, for the most part, I think we can all agree that Big Ben is done. Like his best years are behind him. And I think for the most part, I think we can all agree that Drew Brees is done. And we saw that now, he had decent numbers, decent stats, but let's just be honest, it wasn't the same Saints team that we had been, we've grown to see and love for so many years, the up and down. He couldn't throw the ball and push the ball the way he used to. And I don't know if that was more because of his age or whatnot, or maybe the style or his teammates, but it just wasn't the same. And in that playoff game, you can just see him just he just wasn't the same dude anymore. And unfortunately, he ended up losing. Like my man Douglas Lewis Brooks Jr. says, he had just so many guys in his era. Brady, Manning, yeah, there was so many guys in that era with Drew Brees. And that's a good point, Douglas. That we tend to forget about him because he wasn't the prototypical quarterback. Some people said he's arguably the best, smallest quarterback we've ever seen. Guys that are like 6 foot and below. Yeah, I mean, think about his career. He went to Purdue, not a very big school at the time as far as football is concerned. The Big Ten, gets drafted, goes to San Diego. They end up drafting Phillip Rivers. He plays there, but then he gets hurt. Then they move on. Phillip Rivers takes over, and then he goes to New Orleans. So, que sera. But he's definitely carved out a very nice career for himself. I mean, there's no doubt about that. This man has carved out a very tremendous career for himself. But, all good things must come to an end, and it was time for him to come to an end. Now, he won't be done with football. I believe he's going to become a commentator. I forgot what network, but I think he's going to be successful at that too. I mean, he's a very articulate, thoughtful guy. He knows the game of football. He's one of those guys that, especially at the quarterback position, this is what you need. You need the guys that are thinkers, who are meticulous. If you play quarterback at any level, you have to be the most detail-oriented guy, and I see that in Drew Brees. So congratulations to him on a successful career. Not a lot of people can say and do a lot of things that he did. He'll have more time to be at home and spend with his wife and his kids, but he'll be back on the ground working with I forgot what network he's going to be working with, but he's going to be outstanding. So congratulations to Drew Brees on a great career, man. I mean, there's so much more I can say about that. So moving on, we're going to stick with the Saints. Now, with Drew Brees kind of stepping aside, what's left is Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. Two serviceable quarterbacks. Obviously, Jameis Winston has more experience as a starting quarterback in the NFL, the former number 1 draft pick, the former Heisman winner. He's played a lot of games. He's thrown a lot of touchdowns. He's thrown a lot of interceptions. And he's done a lot of foolish things off the field. But he's cleaned that up for the most part. Then you look on the other spectrum, Taysom Hill, really unheralded coming out of BYU, if I recall, just like a Swiss Army knife. The dude can do everything. He can run, he can catch, played special teams. He's like a gadget type of dude. He filled in for Drew Brees this year when Drew Brees went down with the rib injury. I believe he went, was it 3-1? I think they beat the Broncos, Falcons twice. Oh, no. Yeah. 3-1, I think. And then they lost to the Eagles. That was his 4th game. So, it is what it is. But here's my thoughts on this. I think Jameis Winston can definitely play in this league. People, oh, well, he turns the ball over a lot. And I get that. And absolutely, you got to protect the football. But let's just be real. The year that he threw like 30 something interceptions, I think the guy threw for like 5,000 yards and double digit touchdowns. If you go half on those interceptions, that's a damn good season still at the end of the day. And that's when he was blind because I guess he had some LASIK surgery now. I guess he can see clear. So why not take a shot? He's pretty cheap right now for the most part. They don't have any other future plans or any other guys in the stable. Because honestly, they don't have the cap space. I know Taysom Hill had to restructure his deal. The Saints have jettisoned a lot of solid players. Emmanuel Sanders got cut, Jared Cook got cut, and a few other guys. They might have to make decisions on, especially like Michael Thomas, guys like that. But as far as the quarterback play is concerned with the New Orleans Saints, I think Jameis Winston is probably their best stopgap fit right now. Now, not to say that Taysom Hill can't play. He played a few games, but that's 4 games, dude. Like you're talking about a whole season. Jameis Winston can give that to you. I say give Jameis a chance. He's still talented. He's still got an arm. He can push the ball down the field, which is something that Drew Brees could not do towards the end of his career, as we saw in this last season. Taysom Hill, he's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong, but is he a legitimate NFL quarterback for a full season? I don't know. I'm not quite sure yet because we got a sample serving of him. And the 2 teams that he played were the Atlanta Falcons, which were divisional games, but the Broncos game, I was like, the Broncos didn't even have any real starting quarterbacks that game, and they lost to the Eagles. But my point is that you got to trust Jameis, man. And I thought I would trust in Jameis. I would never say that ever in my life, ever again. But I think he learned a little bit from Drew Brees in his last year that maybe that might have rubbed off on him, and hopefully he's got his vision corrected. And the Saints, let's be real, they still have a really deep team. They're very talented still. They're very talented, especially on the defensive side. They still have Alvin Kamara. Like I said, we don't know what they're going to do with Michael Thomas. I think more likely they'll probably try to keep him and get him back in the flow because he missed a lot of time this last season. But you pair him with a quarterback and an offensive coordinator like Sean Payton, it's going to be money. Now, it's tough because you're in a tough division now with the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have just continued to keep re-signing their guys. I mean, literally, they've re-signed everybody. Brady took a deal to restructure his contract, and now all these other guys from a Super Bowl championship winning team will be back. Now, I know they beat the Buccaneers twice last year in the regular season, but when it counted the most, they couldn't get it done, and they ended up losing to them in the playoffs. So the Saints are going to be okay. I think they're not. Are they going to be one of the favorites? No, I don't think so. I think the NFC is going to be tougher, but if they find a serviceable quarterback to get them through, I think they'll be fine. And I think Jameis Winston can be that guy for them. I think the combination of him learning and sitting behind Drew Brees, working within that offense, being in meetings with Sean Payton, Drew Brees, understanding how it really works in New Orleans, and what they want to do. I mean, like I said, the cap problem is going to be a situation for them that we have to keep an eye on. But overall, I think if you go with Taysom Hill, I mean, I guess you don't go wrong with him too, but we don't know if he can be a quarterback for a full season, and teams won't figure him out because we really don't know if he can really play the game after being scouted. You know what I mean? So, like I said, he's fun to put in there, to mix it up because teams, but I can see the Saints mixing it up, giving teams a hard time, not understanding, well, who's going to start? Who's going to be the quarterback? Because how are we going to prepare? We got our first comment out here. Douglas Lewis Brooks Jr. says they really have no choice but to go after Winston, getting Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people want to throw out Deshaun Watson there and Russell Wilson. They don't have the money, especially this year with the cap being lowered by 18%. They don't have the money. Right now, they're really looking into their books. They're trying to cook the books a little bit to try to find some cash to pay for some guys. But Jameis Winston, they can still get on a cheap 1-year deal just to kind of hold the tide over. I mean, because honestly, they don't have enough draft collateral to move up in the draft to get a quarterback. I don't think so. And, for what we know, this is going to be one of the better draft classes for quarterbacks, but I don't think that they have enough to move up to get in that top 5, top 6, maybe even top 8 to land a guy like a Trey Lance or the kid out of Ohio State. I forgot his name all of a sudden now. And then even the Zach Wilson, the kid out of BYU. So it's going to be tough for the Saints, but I think right now that Jameis Winston is their best bet to kind of like a stopgap to see what they got and moving forward and see what they can do. But I think they still are good enough to be a very strong team and compete in the NFC. So appreciate that comment, Douglas Brooks Jr. Lewis Brooks Jr. Thank you. Hey, what's up, Sandy Marie? How you doing? Good to see you back in the room, man. Hope everything's going well with you. Sticking with football again, NFL. Aaron Jones today signed a 4-year deal worth up to $48 million. You know, some people will say he didn't take the bag. He could have signed elsewhere and got a lot more money. I know suitors like the Dolphins were in play. Perhaps even the Seattle Seahawks might have been in play, but he decided to stay with Aaron Rodgers. And then a lot of people will probably question this. I know Green Bay Packer fans are happy because, boy, if they lost this guy, it would have been tough. It definitely would have been tough. Aaron Jones, for all accounts, has carved out a really nice career for himself. I mean, he was drafted in 2017, I believe, in the 5th round out of UTEP, the Miners, University of Texas, El Paso, for those of you who don't know what UTEP is. And he's rushed for over 1,000 yards the last 3 seasons, double-digit touchdowns, not this year, but the year before. And I think he's averaging like almost 7 to 8 yards a carry in a Packer offense with Aaron Rodgers in it. So for him, I think he's looking at it. Because here's the thing, Green Bay does not have a lot of money as well, too, to spend in free agency. And the fact of the matter is that a lot of people don't want to come and play in Green Bay for obvious reasons. Now, I've never been to Green Bay. I've heard it's a lovely city. But if I'm a young 20-something-year-old, do I really want to spend the best years of my life in Green Bay? Probably not, when I can go somewhere else, like a Miami, somewhere in Texas or California, or even in the northeastern part of this country versus Green Bay. So him not taking the bag is for he's saying, you know what? I know what it is. I have a great opportunity here because LaFleur, the head coach for the Green Bay Packers, he understands that to really be successful, you have to run the ball in this league. Now, I know we fall in love with the pass, and the pass does garner a lot of attention. But you look at Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that just recently won the Super Bowl. They started to run the ball towards the end of the year, and that helped Brady. It helped out their offense. It kept their defense off the field because they were able to grind out the games. And Aaron Jones is arguably a top 5 back in this league. Now, I will say he made a really big decision because, 4 years from now, he's not going to be able to get a big contract. This was his opportunity to take the money, and he didn't. Now, I respect that. He wants to win. So he's thinking, why not stay in Green Bay? Why not try to thug it out with Aaron Rodgers? Because here's the thing. You can go to Miami, but who's your quarterback? Tua? You can go to Seattle. Who's going to be the quarterback there? Will it be Russell Wilson? Maybe for one more year. Maybe he stays 1 more and then he's out of there. So you don't know. Aaron Rodgers seems like he will probably be there the rest of his career. And Aaron Jones is probably betting on that. That's what I would assume. So, kudos for him. He didn't take the money. I mean, he's still getting paid a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, to play the NFL. But he didn't garner the money, the type of money that you thought he probably would have went after, just considering the fact that he's a top 5 back in the NFL. You look at guys like Zeke who got paid, who we're looking at that contract now as a Cowboys fan. It's not even worth it. He's not even worth it. So I think Aaron Jones gave the Packers a slight break. And who knows, maybe they'll do something for him later on down the line. But I think he really wants to win. And the Packers definitely have to continue to build a team around Aaron Rodgers and around Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams too. Those are real. Literally, in those positions alone, you have top 5 guys in each of those positions. Your offensive line is just as good as anybody else's. Your defense is really solid as well, too, with Preston Smith, Zaire Smith, and other, there are other guys back there. So the Packers are a solid team. They made the NFC Conference Championship game. They can do that again. Aaron Rodgers is going to be back for vengeance. Now, like I said, they're going to have to go up against Brady because Brady is stocked and reloaded. But I think Aaron Jones staying in Green Bay, it just goes to show that some guys are not always about the money. He's getting paid very handsomely to play football, but I think he also wants to win on the same token. And just by that contract, 4 years, $48 million, yeah, that's a bargain. That's a bargain for a top 5 running back. So let me know what you guys think about that. Was it a bargain? Am I overstating it as a bargain? Do you think that the Packers cheated him, or do you think that he's okay with taking that money? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and we'll keep it popping, man. So speaking of other deals, sticking in the NFL, Cam Newton heading back to New England. Now, the season did not finish very well for him in New England. He got benched a few times for Jason Stidham and some other guys there. I don't even know, but he's coming back for 1 year, 1 year deal worth $14 million. Now, initially, when I first reported this and talked about this, I think I posted this on Friday night on my Instagram. I was not really excited about the deal, but after talking to a buddy and kind of letting things sink in, I said, you know what? I think it works mutually for both players. I'll start with the Patriots. I think for the Patriots, they got to see what it was like firsthand without Tom Brady and what Tom Brady can do as a player, how much he covers up and masks a lot of their issues. Now, as of late, they've been very active as a team. I mean, they just recently signed Nelson Aguilar from the Las Vegas Raiders, which should be a good pickup because I think Aguilar had a tremendous season in Las Vegas, and I'm not sure why the Raiders didn't want to keep him. But anyway, they're bolstering their offensive line. They went back and traded for, I believe, Trent Brown. So he's coming back. And I believe they traded for another offensive lineman from the Texans. So to me, they got a wide receiver, Nelson Aguilar. Okay. Is he a true number one? Who knows? Maybe so. Depends on the right system. But here's the thing with the Patriots. They're not going to try to throw the ball. I mean, Julian Edelman is still there, but he's a shell of himself. But what they're telling me is that they're going to run this football. And they might be in the market. Maybe they go out, try to get a Chris Carson or maybe draft a running back. But they're going to run the football. They're going to run the football. They're going to use Cam Newton as the spear point of their running game. And they're going to just ground and pound you. And they're going to run the clock out on you. That's what they're going to do. And Cam's going to have to pass every now and then. But hopefully now he has a weapon and Nelson Aguilar that he feels confident throwing to, because here's the thing. There's nobody else on that receiving core. Julian Edelman missed. I think he got hurt this past season. N'Keal Harry looking like he's going to be a bust because they haven't drafted any real wide receiver talent or even offensive talent since Belichick's been there. So, and as far as Cam Newton's concerned, I think he feels that he needs to prove the doubters wrong. And I don't think there was really a market for him anywhere else. And a lot of people predicted that he would go back to New England just because there really was nowhere else for him to go. The Patriots weren't going to trade for Carson Wentz or Sam Darnold. They definitely weren't going to be in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, not Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, none of that. So who would, and then they weren't going to pick a quarterback unless they still might draft a quarterback in the very late rounds, but I forgot where they're picking at, but they need a starting quarterback now. And I think also too, from a player personnel standpoint, they're getting a lot of guys back who decided not to play this past season due to COVID. Now, are they going to go out and win the AFC East? No, they might be a 9-7 type team, I would think. And Cam might struggle a little bit. And also Cam missed a lot of time. He missed about 2-3 weeks with COVID, because let's not forget, in the beginning of this past season, myself included, they started off pretty well. They should have won the game in Seattle. They really should have won the game in Seattle. And here's the clip from that game. And they played really well. This was a Sunday night game. They played really well. It came down to a last play at the end of the game. But if they had won that game, I believe they would have went to like 3-1 or 4-0. I forgot what the record was, but it's definitely something that to consider, that one, he missed a lot of time due to COVID. Two, they didn't have a lot of players, a lot of their standout players on defense play. Number three, they didn't have a real go-to guy on the outside. Now they got that, and their offensive line was kind of in shambles. So I'm not saying they're going to win the AFC. Don't get me wrong. I don't want you to take from this that I'm saying that the New England Patriots are back all of a sudden and they're going to be going to the Super Bowl. No, but I think between Cam and the Patriots, I think it's a good union kind of in the end, even though I wasn't really for it on Friday when this news dropped, but I think I'll take it now. I think it's a smart move for both Cam and for the New England Patriots. So Big Popper here. What's up, man? Thanks for joining the show. He says 3-team trade. Bears send Mac to Fuller. Jets. Seahawks get Bears 3 first round. Darnold goes. Is that official? Is that something new? Am I missing something? Is that an official trade? Or is that something that you're just putting out there for us, Big Popper? But either way, I appreciate you dropping in, man. Thanks a lot. But yeah, so back to the Pats and Cam. A lot of people aren't really happy with it, but hey, it is what it is. Um, we'll just have to wait and see. It's not a terrible move, but it gives Cam an opportunity to still be a starting quarterback in the NFL, and it gives the Patriots some time to maybe work out something. Who knows? You never know with Bill Belichick what he got under his sleeve. All right, no, he just says no. I think okay. All right, yeah, that's a very interesting trade. That's a very interesting trade hypothesis you got there, Big Bopper. So yeah, he says 3-trade team, Bears and yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I just want to see Cam be good again, at least decent, because I know he's not going to be ranked up as high as some of the great quarterbacks of this league, but I mean, the guy has had a pretty good career. I mean, he's a former Heisman winner, former NFL MVP, played in the Super Bowl. I just want to see him kind of go out on a good note and see what happens from there. So, but all right. Switching over to the NBA. Yes, NBA. Some games have obviously started back up since the All-Star break. Lakers in trouble, man. I think in the beginning of the season, it looked like they had a really solid team. I mean, I get it. They had it Marc Gasol, Montrezl Harrell, Dennis Schroeder, but I don't think they accounted for AD missing some time. Now, I wasn't a fan of them getting rid of, JaVale McGee, or not making a real serious effort to get Dwight Howard. Now, I know Dwight Howard maybe flip-flop in the last minute and decided to go to Washington or wherever he's at. I don't even know where he's at. But I like Marc Gasol, but he's not a rim protector. He's not the same Marc Gasol from a few years ago. But I will say the Lakers still have LeBron James. They still have, I think they'll make, I mean, they're going to make the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. But it all depends on Anthony Davis and how he responds. Now, I'm all for him sitting out for right now. Give him as much rest as he can, because I think the seed in the playoff won't even matter. But I will be concerned if he does come back. It's going to take him some time to get back into game shape. Hopefully LeBron doesn't get hurt at this point, because he's overextending himself. Some other guys need to step up. Now, Dennis Schroeder is, he's been back. I was glad when he came back into the lineup, because you can tell immediately when he got back into the lineup, things kind of changed a little bit. Now we need Kuzma to play a little bit better. But right now you're looking at other teams right now, and we live in a today's type of world, and the Nets are basically grabbing all the attention. Why? They're winning a lot. They went ahead and got James Harden, Blake Griffin. I mean, I'm not really big on that deal. It is what it is. I'm not sure why. They even went after the guy, because Blake Griffin's not the same Blake Griffin. But either way, the Lakers still are one of the better defensive teams. And when postseason comes, we all know LeBron will step up. I just don't want him to overexert himself at this point to try to stay, because the West is tough right now. But I believe, they're like third or fourth in the West. Let me know if, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If you guys know that, let me know. But, we got some comments already about that. We got Bryson Carver from the Carving Up podcast. Great show. You guys check him out. He says, don't worry about the Lakers. Clippers have looked awful recently, and the Jazz have lost 2 of their last 3. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't really scared of the Jazz, really. I don't think they match up well with the Lakers anyway in the postseason. The only team I'm really concerned right now, and Big Popper mentioned it just now, Nets and Lakers finals. That's the biggest concern. I think the Lakers will be able to stumble through, with Anthony. Hopefully Anthony Davis is back. But when they meet the Nets, that's the problem. That's the problem. But as far as the Jazz are concerned, I'm not really worried about the Jazz. They don't have anybody that can really guard LeBron. And really AD. I mean, AD, yeah, I guess so with Rudy Gobert, but and right, you're right, Big Popper. Heat are climbing right now in the standings. They struggled a little bit. I do like the Heat. We thought that they had the bubble hangover, but they're playing strong as well too now. And the Lakers still need to make a move or two here. Now, I know reports out there are saying that maybe PJ Tucker might be in the mix to possibly a trade for him out of Houston. Not sure who they would get rid of. And also Andre Drummond, who was he bought out by the Cleveland Cavaliers earlier? I don't know, but maybe that's another big man they go out and get just to kind of help them a little bit with their big men. But definitely we need Anthony Davis. It's still LeBron's team, but Anthony Davis is the lubricator. He's the guy that's going to help them get over the top. Now, if they do meet the Nets in the finals, it's going to be an interesting one, because if we get the same AD in the bubble, there's no stopping that dude. There's no stopping. And Dennis Schroeder is a very good piece. So I'm not all the way too. I mean, I'm worried a little bit because I hate seeing the Lakers lose, especially to like some random teams. But I understand too, though. AD is out. LeBron, we all know that LeBron, he puts it on cruise control. We can all say that. You know, he he knows the temperature of the room. He knows the temperature of the environment. We all know that being number one in the West means nothing because guess what? There's no home court advantage at this point in time. And I don't foresee the NBA allowing fans to come back into the arenas like that in full capacity. So, it doesn't matter if the Lakers are 1 or 8. It doesn't matter. So as long as LeBron stays healthy and AD comes back, because I think if they needed him, if this was the playoffs, AD would be playing. But because of the growing, and they don't really need him at this point. They're still fourth in the West. They have a big game tonight against, I wouldn't say it's a big game, but it's a game. Against the Warriors, with Steph Curry, that's a game you want to win and have a back-to-back. I think they play the Timberwolves tomorrow. They definitely want to get as much rest as possible right now as they gear up towards the end of this season and prepare themselves for the playoffs. So I'm worried, but I'm not that worried. Like, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense? I'm worried, but I'm not that worried. Let's just say I have a little concern, just a little smidge, because I'm a Laker fan. I don't like to see these guys lose. Excuse me. That's what it boils down to, I guess. So, but you're right, Big Popper. The Heat have definitely, they're making some noise. They may move up because here's the thing with Philly. Joel Embiid has been out. He's out now. And I know this is not part of my segment, but Joel Embiid, man, I like him. He's a great talent. But if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, I got to move him. You got to, man. I know that sounds crazy, but you can't trust him. The guy has only played like 40-something games in like 2 seasons. And a big man that's always getting hurt is, guess what? The Lakers are having that problem with Anthony Davis too. Luckily, for him last season, the coronavirus stopped the season, postponed it. They had time to rest. But Joel Embiid, man, he is always hurt. Always. And if I'm the Sixers, man, I would probably consider trying to move him over Ben Simmons because, yes, Ben Simmons isn't a guy that you really want to build a team around because he can't shoot, but at least he's available. And I think somebody out there would be willing to take on Joel Embiid, and you might get some really good value in that. So, but I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Let me know what you guys think about that. So, Big Papa, he says, I shouldn't be concerned when AD is healthy. The Lakers are the best on the West. Yeah. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. He said he grew up on Jordan. I think most of us grew up in Jordan. If you were born in the 80s, you grew up on Jordan. And I was born in the 80s, and so I grew up on him. So, yeah, he's from Chicago too. So shout out to Big Popper, man. He's flooding that comment section, man. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. So, last topic of the night. I'm not going to even try to sound educated when I talk about this because literally, yes, I have a sports talk show. And yes, if I'm going to put something on my show, I should know a little bit something about something, right? But I'm going to be real with you guys. And that's what my show is all about. So March Madness is starting up, I believe, when is it? This week or next week? I think some of the playing games. It's a field of 68. Okay. The top 4 teams, as you can see, Gonzaga, Baylor, Illinois, and Michigan. Those are the top seeds in each of the respective regions. And that's about it. That's all I know about college basketball this year. Now, I probably should have scheduled a guest and I know some people that are very knowledgeable about college basketball. Like, I watch it, but I think now I am, Shelly Tench. Thank you, Shelly. Thanks, darling. Yeah, Friday. Starts out Friday. Here's the thing about college basketball. So Duke, Kentucky are not in March Madness. That's crazy to me. Duke and Kentucky, the most blue-blooded teams in college basketball, will not even be participating in it. You know, when that I think I read this stat the other day. The last time that happened was in 1976. That's the last time Duke and Kentucky had not made the tournament, which is just mind-boggling to me. And also another team like Louisville. Louisville is not even in there. These are teams that have won national championships. Here's my problem with college basketball. Well, let me get to that here in a second. As far as from what I do know, this is the best year for a team like Gonzaga to win it all. Now, Gonzaga is undefeated. I think they've run the whole gambit. They've been number 1 for consecutive weeks. So I don't even know how many. That I do know. They have a very deep, veteran, senior-laden team with a great coach in Mark Few. That I do know. Baylor's been around. I know their women's program has garnered a lot of attention, but things are popping off in Texas. Texas is becoming a hotbed for youth basketball throughout the country. So a lot of great players are coming. So Baylor is tapping into that market there. Illinois is a very interesting. They're in the Big Ten. Obviously, Big Ten is arguably probably the best basketball conference we have right now in college basketball. With Michigan as well, man. I'm glad to see Michigan back on top. But Illinois, man. I mean, they had a run a few years ago with Deron Williams and D Brown. They made the final. Matter of fact, they made the national championship game. They lost to North Carolina, so it's good to see them back. And as far as Michigan concerned, Juwan Howard has done a great job going back to his alma mater. Now they didn't win the Big Ten tournament, but they're one of the top 4 seeds in the tournament now in the March Madness, so they have a chance to win out. And probably bring some prominence, even more prominence back to Michigan. So, but like I said before, this is probably Gonzaga's, or I'm not even Gonzaga, any little mid-major school, because there are a lot of other teams out there that are really solid that I do know about. Like I'm not going to go in and tell you details about who the best player is, because I don't know all that. I'm not going to front. But from what I do know, Gonzaga is tough. And this leads me into my next kind of a thought that I have. The reason why I think Gonzaga does not get a lot of the respect that it deserves is because we live in a very now type of situation. And in college basketball, when you got these kids, they come in for 1 year, not even for a year, a couple months. We see them, and then boom, they're off in the NBA draft. You look at Kentucky, for all the talent that Kentucky has put in the NBA, John Calipari has only won 1 national championship there in Kentucky. I mean, think about that. Think about when you watch an NBA game tonight. Look at that roster. I bet you there's a guy from Kentucky on that team. I mean, just off the top of my head right now, John Wall, Devin Booker, DeMarcus Cousins, and there's so many more. Tyler Hero. I mean, there's so Anthony Davis, and they only got 1 national championship out of that. But why? Why does that happen? Because here's the thing. It's okay if you want to have a guy on your team, 1 or 2 guys that are like NBA bound. We know that. But when you fill a team, and this is happening to Duke too, at a lot of these big time schools, what's happening is you're recruiting, you're getting 5-star player, 5 blue chip players. They come in for your team. They never get a chance to really mesh, and boom, they're out of there. They're out of there in months. And then now your cupboard is bare once again. And so you have to continue to keep regenerating all this talent. And it's hard to keep up with that. And I think for guys like John Calipari, it's hard because teenagers today, man, like they don't even know why they pick certain schools, dude. They pick schools because maybe the girls are fine, or they like the burger stand down the street. Who knows? Or the uniforms are fire. Who cares, right? That's what they really care about. Or they look at, well, who can put me in the NBA the best? I don't know. And then you look at teams like Gonzaga, schools like that, where they may have a guy who's an NBA talent, but for the most part, man, those guys stay there for 2 to 3 years at a minimum. They learn the system, they play with each other, and they play a good brand of basketball. And for me, watching college basketball now, it's so hard to stay on top. Now, don't get me wrong. It's still a spectacle. It's still one of the greatest sporting events that we have in this country. I'm not going to say the world because not everyone watches college basketball. So I'm not going to be that American and say it's the best sporting event in the world. No, because I'm pretty sure people in Botswana is not going to be watching in March Madness. So just keeping it real there. But in this country, it's up there with the Super Bowl. It's just hard to watch it because when I was growing up, I'm telling my age again, one of my favorite teams growing up was the UCLA Bruins. That team, the 95, 96 team that won a national championship. You had guys like Ty Sedney, the O'Bannon brothers, Toby Bailey, Cameron Dollar, Jim Havrick was the head coach there. Those guys were all juniors and seniors, and you got to see them. And I think this is the difference between college basketball and college football. We don't really get to learn and understand these guys until the tournament comes around, and then maybe you get a backstory. Unlike college football, where you get to kind of learn, you see these guys for a couple years, so they stay embedded in your head. But as far as college basketball is concerned, it's hard, man. It's really hard for me to sit there and watch these guys. I'll watch the tournament for sure, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's in Indianapolis this year. It's going to be pretty interesting because we didn't get a champion last year. So, a lot of teams are going to make their move here. So Bryson Carver says, I don't think it's a coincidence that teams that have the best one and go players go home before the Final Four. Experience matters in the big dance. That's why teams like Virginia and Villanova have won national championships. Even when Carolina won 2017, they were a veteran team. It matters. It absolutely. Bryson, I absolutely agree. Now, talent can only get you far. And like I said, with Kentucky, they've got like 30 guys in the NBA in the last couple of 5 years. I mean, literally, look it up. I don't know for sure, but I can guarantee that they put in a ton of guys that we didn't even think were going to even be good. Who thought Devin Booker was going to be good the way he's turned out to be? I didn't even remember even seeing him play in Kentucky. I forgot what team he was on. Why? Because there were other guys ahead of him that were way better than him, and he didn't get the time. So it's just crazy to me that, so. And my buddy Shelly here, she said, that's why I don't follow teams and not individuals. I feel the fans are team followers, North Carolina, Duke, etc. Yeah. And Shelly Tench is a huge March Madness fan. So, and I'm not even trying to throw shade on her. I love the event overall, the pageantry. It's going to be weird not having really fans in the stands, but because I think that's what part of college sports is all about as well. But, I'll bet on it. I mean, I might go put money on Gonzaga. I mean, they're good. They're the favorite, but who knows? But it's definitely the emotion because for some of these guys, this is it for them. It would be nice to see a team like Gonzaga from a small conference actually win the national championship. I think that'll be great, but coaches like Coach K, John Calipari, all these guys are going to be struggling, man. They're going to be struggling because you can't continue to let, and obviously it might change because I think the NBA is allowing, I think next season, kids from high school to go straight into the NBA. And I think that might help college basketball. Now, it might make us watch it a little bit more because now kids, I mean, the one and done kids, they're not going to go to college anymore. They're going to go straight. Imagine Zion Williamson not even going to Duke. Now, it was must-see TV when he did play for that 1 year, but it was kind of like, well, we could have been seeing you doing that in the NBA a year before. I mean, just keeping it real. So it's going to be nice to see them stockpile a little bit more talent and have those veteran teams because, like I said, about that 95-96 Bruin team that I watched, I mean, that team was deep. I mean, they had, and I mean, I'm naming off guys that you don't even know. They had PJ Baker, George Zedek. I mean, like I said, Toby Beller was like one of the best freshmen that year going into the college basketball. He's from LA, same alma mater that I went to as far as elementary is concerned. So now, with the days of social media, if you're not on it like that, you don't really know who these guys are. You just don't. And there are tons of great college basketball players out there that we don't even get a chance to know because when the TV comes on, we're looking for the Dukes and the Kentuckys and stuff like that. So, but that's all I got. So, but March Madness is upon us this Friday. I got to root for USC. There's some other teams out there. I do like Oklahoma State. I think they have a really good, solid player there that I do know. They might make a little run. But other than that, I will say there are a lot of small teams in this pool from what I'm reading. I mean, Loyola Chicago, they made the Final Four a couple years ago. You got VCU, St. Bonaventure, Texas Southern, a very proud Colgate, Eastern Grand Canyon University. For those you don't know, I think Dan Marley is still the coach there. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona. It's a small Christian college. They made the tournament. So a lot of small schools, man. So there's definitely a chance that one of these small schools might win it. They might win it. But at least, we're not going to see Duke. We're not going to see North Carolina win it or be in it. I'm okay with that. Because unlike college football, we get used to seeing Alabama and Clemson being in there. So, but that's all I got. So last comment before we get out of here. Alex Usher writes, the reason for the one and done players is the economy. If you break it down, most of the guys that are superstars from the NBA come from single parent households. So in other words, if there is a pot of gold waiting for college basketball players in the NBA, they will continue to take it. However, I think the will actually start paying college players. Okay. I mean, I don't know about paying them. And to your point, I think I agree with that. I don't blame the kids for leaving. I mean, I understand they got to go and get their money. I get it. I'm not mad at them. And especially next year when this rule changes, where high school kids can go straight into the NBA, go for it. It works for any other sport: tennis, golf, baseball, badminton, I don't know, ping pong, whatever. Only the NBA put that limitation on there for whatever reason. I guess they have their reasoning, but at the end of the day, I think if you have a gift and a skill and you can make money off of it, go and do it. But I think college basketball will benefit from keeping those kids, just having them go straight there, and we can get these veteran teams and we can get back to kind of growing more of an affinity for college basketball. But anyway, that's it, man. 45 minutes and I'm out of here. So appreciate you, man. That's my show. Make sure you guys catch me Wednesday again at 5 p.m. on the same channel on YouTube, Facebook, and via Twitter live, man. Appreciate you guys. Shout out to everybody in the comment section today. You guys were killing it. Shout out to Douglas Lewis Brooks. He started it off. Sandy Marie, she stopped in real quick. Shelly Tench, what's up? My dad, William Flowers, popped in. Big Popper, he was in there throwing it down, man, for the alley-oop. Bryson Carver, thanks, man. Appreciate for him for showing up. And Alex Usher for showing up as well, too. Appreciate you guys, the comments. Make sure you continue to like and share this comment. But, hey, that's all I got. So until next time, this is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. Peace out, guys. Clutch Sports Talk Live with Ryan Flowers is presented by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Man, let's go.